Welcome to the Professional Learning Resource, Using Process Drama to Expand the Literacy Program, an exemplar, by Trish Wells and Susan Sandretto from the University of Otago. In this first chapter, we will briefly introduce you to process drama, the 4 resources model, and how you can use process drama as a pedagogy for the literacy program. This professional learning resource is grounded in a broad conception of literacy that's been developed through research with New Zealand teachers and students. Our work draws upon a conception of literacy we call critical multiliteracies. This involves supporting students to develop an array of practices to break the codes, make meaning, and use, construct, and critically analyze a wide range of texts across a variety of contexts. The term multi refers to the wide variety of texts we have at our disposal, and the term critical refers to our desire to emphasize the vital importance of critically analyzing texts. We work with a broad conception of what counts as a text. The New Zealand curriculum gives us a hint at what counts as a text in the key competency of using language, symbols, and texts. People use languages and symbols to produce texts of all kinds: written, oral, and visual, informative and imaginative, informal and formal, mathematical, scientific, and technological. So at its heart, a text is a vehicle for communication, and literacy programs need to support students to use and make meaning and create a wide range of texts. Process drama. What is it? So how does literacy relate to drama? Well, we're talking about process drama. Process drama is a model of drama in education in which students work within a variety of drama conventions and improvised roles alongside their teacher, who also frequently works in role to guide and structure the drama. Process drama is focused on problem solving, participation in learning inquiry, or discovery. It does not result in a public performance. In this professional learning resource, we are going to support you to use process drama as a pedagogy for the literacy program. Before we can talk further about process drama as a pedagogy for the literacy program, we need a framework for thinking. We argue in our work that the 4 resources model has traveled well and provides a flexible framework for planning a balanced literacy program. So in thinking about developing students' literacy skills, we're going to shift gears. Rather than provide a model for the best way to teach reading, educational researchers Alan Luke and Peter Freebody instead asked, what are the kinds of reading practices and positions schools should value, encourage, and propagate? This idea turned the reading debate around and supported teachers and researchers to think more broadly about what counts as literacy. Freebody and Luke developed the 4 resources model to address their question. Briefly, it consists of supporting students to develop the resources of code breaker, meaning maker, text analyst, and text user. We will take a brief look at each resource. For more information, see the introductory section of the workbook or the list of suggested readings. Resource 1. Code breaker. This involves developing understandings of the codes and conventions of all of the semiotic systems and how they may be operating in any given text. Let's take a look at the semiotic systems. We have 5 semiotic systems available to us to make meaning and create texts: the audio, gestural, linguistic, spatial, and visual systems. All texts use one or more of these systems. So breaking the codes of a text means understanding how these systems work alone and in combination with each other. Resource 2. Meaning maker. Many will be familiar with the meaning maker role when it is referred to as reading comprehension. Meaning maker practices emphasize making connections to the cultural, social, technological, and literacy knowledge that one has in order to make meaning from texts. Of course, code breaker and meaning maker resources go together. If you can't break the codes of a text, it is very difficult to make meaning. Resource 3, Text Analyst. This resource is also known as critical literacy. The Text Analyst resource involves critiquing texts to consider relationships between language, power, and representation. And finally, Resource 4, Text User. The name Text User does not reflect the complexity of this resource. To be a skilled text user, you have to draw upon code breaking, meaning making, and text analyst resources in order to use and/or create texts. So how does the 4 resources model relate to process drama? Well, let's take a look at one convention, the freeze frame, and see what the connections are to literacy. The freeze frame is when students construct an image with their bodies to demonstrate a moment in time, idea, or theme. As the students read and reread, the visual, gestural, and spatial systems captured in the freeze frame, they make meaning. The students develop the text analyst role when they are encouraged to develop multiple readings or interpretations as they reflect and analyze the freeze frames. They develop the text user role by constructing the freeze frames, either individually or in small groups. Thus, the use of process drama pedagogy in the literacy program integrates a repertoire of practices into a cohesive whole. So some key take-home messages from this first chapter is that the 4 resources are typically used simultaneously. They do not form a hierarchy. For instance, students don't have to be proficient readers to begin to develop their text analyst resources. The 4 resources are recursive. That is, readers and writers move back and forth among the practices as needed to complete the task. Each of the 4 resources is necessary, but insufficient on its own for literacy today. A cohesive literacy program supports students to develop all 4 resources. And in this professional learning resource, you'll learn how to use process drama to support students to develop all 4 resources. Process drama scaffolds students to develop code-breaking and meaning-making practices with new language through active participation. As you work your way through this professional learning resource, you will see how the students naturally make use of multiple modes for communication and how process drama supports them to develop all 4 resources.